Hello, everybody. Welcome to Things My Granddaddy Said. Dave Studdard with you. Man, what a big show we have today. I can't wait to get to our guest. We'll get to that in just a couple of minutes. Let's talk about last week's show. We've had some pretty positive feedback about it. Internet Weekly writes, "What in the hell was that?" Noah Vanderhaas says it was two chimps on a Davenport. If you get that joke, y'all, your 90s movie trivia is on point. Yeah, it was a pretty good show. We had I had Michael Hagan in here, and we talked a little bit and had some fun and talked about some issues and some topics. Had some pretty good feedback online, and we've had some it's been viewed several hundred times, so that's good. We've had some issues getting the video feed going, and we continue to have issues, so we're still trying to work that out. But this is a podcast. It's primarily an audio medium, and that's sort of what we're trying to continually improve relevant to audio and accessibility. But we'll keep working on this video component. I mean, people have said they like to see what's going on in here. I can't imagine anybody wants to see this. I'm not sure this clearly I have a face for radio. So, but we'll keep it going. We'll keep trying to refine the audio portion of this thing or the video portion rather, and have it honed in for you. A little long last time. I had some feedback about that. 54 minutes is kind of long for a podcast. We're going to try to shorten that down a little bit. But look, if the conversation is interesting, we're having fun, we're going to keep going. I mean, I don't know. What do you want from me? Turn it off. I don't give a damn. What do you want from me? I'm just saying. I'm not angry. I'm just, get off my back. Damn. It's just a podcast. Anyway. All right. Let me get to our first guest, or our only guest, really, actually. Well, let me back up, everybody. As always, we have in the studio with us Jack Studdard. Jack, say hello. What's happening, buddy?
Yes, sir. What's up?
Jack is our producer, our engineer, our musical entertainment, and everything else that we need here in the studio. Jack is primarily responsible for the audio stuff and all the technical aspects of this thing. He's a big help here in the studio, and he's part of the show. So what's going on, Jack? What's new?
Nothing much, man. Nothing much. Just
Now he's off camera and off mic, obviously, but.
Yeah.
If we need him to come to a mic, he can certainly get to one. But I think
things have to get very serious for me to get over there, though.
That's right. Things have got the rails we've got to come off the rails before Jack will take to the microphone. All right, so let's get it going, everybody. I'm really excited about this guest. Many of you know him, many of you don't. He's an attorney here locally with us, but he's had some high-profile clients, and he mingles with some high-profile and high-powered attorneys. He was recently on a very interesting case that involved some folks from the entertainment business, and we're going to talk with him about that and perhaps talk about that particular client and some of the things surrounding that. So without further ado, everybody, let me introduce to you attorney Sean Joyner. Come on in, Sean. Very nice. Sean Joyner, everybody. Have a seat right there, my friend. Get those headphones on.
Sorry, it took me a while to get out of makeup.
Yeah, I understand. My makeup person is very amateurish back there. All right, let's get you. Give us a little something. How you doing, Sean?
I'm great. How are you?
Doing good, man. Good to see you. How you been?
I'm a little tired. We moved the office here to Fayette County now, full time.
All right, you came over. We're trying to go international here, but just for some orientation, you came over from Jonesboro, from Clayton County, which is a neighboring county to Fayette. Is that right?
It's where the office was at. We were, I live here in Fayette.
Right.
But the office has been over there. But office has been over there probably for 30 years, probably before I got there, and decided to move it here full time.
You're kind of like me. You're a legacy. You were sort of born into this legal practice, weren't you?
I was.
Your dad had a practice over there for many years. Still has it, right?
Retiring.
Okay, good. And same with me. My dad's been practicing in Clayton County for 40 years or something. So yeah, we kind of come by the same. We went to law school together, didn't we?
We did.
Good times there, everybody, at law school. All right. Well, tell us primarily. First of all, Sean, what kind of practice do you have?
I primarily do criminal defense work. I've been very fortunate to get into some cases early on that helped me get developed. My first bigger case probably wasn't even dealing with criminal defense work. It was when I first, I think, left prosecuting, got brought in on the Victor Hill fiasco over there in Clayton County for a little bit.
I had forgot about that. You were part of the defense team over there?
Really, yeah, right after he had fired the deputies. First time I'd ever gone into Superior Court, I was arguing his contempt issue there in Superior Court over there at the ceremonial courtroom, and there was more media there than just about any other courtroom I've been in.
Yeah, and for those that aren't familiar with this guy, Victor Hill is a super controversial sheriff of the Clayton County Sheriff's Department. Very controversial. He came in and he immediately fired, I don't know, 25, 26 people, and that was a controversy, and there were lawsuits filed, and he's just a lightning rod for controversy. I don't know the man personally. I know that he has a long law enforcement history, but from all accounts, he's a big fan of himself, is he not?
Oh. Yes, he's definitely a big fan of himself, and I think if you talk to him now, he's completely different than he was his first time around.
I've heard that he's mellowed a little bit.
Absolutely.
And the occasions that I have met him, I've passed him in the hall a couple times at the Clayton, because the Clayton County Jail, you have to traverse the sheriff's department to get back to the jail, at least if you come in that front doorway. Mm-hmm. And I've seen him in the hallway a couple times and talked with him, and he was very gracious the times that I saw him. So I mean, yeah, people change, but that first year or two that he was the sheriff and that's what people obviously remember about him. And of course, his Coast Guard uniform that he wears from time to time. I don't know what the hell the Admiral of the Turkish Navy or some damn thing that he has going on there. Very stylish though.
I think we would say from his first go around, he just received some very bad advice.
To say the least. To say the least. All right. Well, let me do this. Tell folks if they're interested in talking to you about a case, Sean. I always, when I have an attorney come on, whether they sponsor us or not, I always I'll give them the ability to tell folks how to get a hold of you. So what's the best ways for folks to talk with you if they need to talk with a criminal attorney?
So you can always go onto our website. It's thejoynerlawfirm.com, JOYNER. You can always reach us at the office phone at 770-473-1758. The website has an email component or anything like that, so you can, we're easily accessible. I even have an employee answering service that answers the phone 24/7. So if there's an emergency, you can reach me literally any time of the day.
Okay, sounds good. All right, now before we get started, I think I might need to just adjust you just a little bit, Sean. Okay. Just kind of bring that mic to you a little more.
There we go.
Okay, now, you recently were involved in a very high-profile case with and this is not just high-profile for the county in which we live and practice. I mean, this thing was a national story and an international story. Tell us, first of all, who the client was or the clients were, Sean.
So the clients were William Roberts III, also known as Rick Ross.
Okay.
And Adrian James. Who we will call Black. That's what he always was called by. Okay,
and just for folks that aren't familiar, and quite honestly, Sean, I have to tell you, and before you started representing this fella, this Rick Ross guy, if he walked into my living room and sat down, I wouldn't know who the hell he was. I mean, I had no idea who he was. Now, is he's a hip hop guy or a rap guy, or is there a difference in the two, or what's your understanding of what his sort of genre of music is?
I would say he broke in with the rap game. That's where he became a big star, but he's far more than that now. He's more of an entrepreneur. He has his own label now.
Okay.
Has a lot of artists underneath him. Has guided a lot of young artists, and so he's really more of a mogul now, you would say.
A hip hop mogul, everybody, just as I suggested in the preview for the show. All right, well, so he's doing some production work. He's helping he's mentoring other young guys coming up, I guess, and women. He's sort of all aspects of the music business, really.
Well, of the music business, and then you look into, he branched out. He owns several wing stops around Fayette County and all over the country. And then of course, and I brought you this. He's part of a champagne company called Bel Air.
Oh my!
So I brought that for you. That's from his personal.
Look at this, everybody! It is from the Rick Ross personal collection. Very nice. I don't want to mess up the name. This is Luc Belair. Is that what I'm?
It is.
Very nice, everybody.
It's very good champagne.
I can't wait to taste it. Very, very nice. Well, thank you very much. And if you see Rick, pass our thanks on to him. Very nice. I'm going to just set this right back here for a moment. All right, now let's sort of get into this thing. Now he was involved, and I don't want to get into too many details because I know that the criminal case has been resolved, but there's still a civil case that's pending. Is that correct? All right, so we don't want to talk about too many details about any of the case or the case aspects. But let me ask you this: the case that he was involved in, the criminal case, was relatively serious, wasn't it? At least the allegation was.
So the allegations were very serious. When we're talking about serious time in prison,
life-altering consequences. Would you say?
I would say life was actually the operative word.
Well, that should tell you right there, ladies and gentlemen. what Sean was faced with, and some of the other. Now you were sort of a member of a team of lawyers that were representing these Rick Ross and this other fellow that you mentioned. Is that right?
So the team that was put together, first of all, I call the quarterback was Steve Sadow.
Sure, Steve Sadow.
He was brought in very early on, and then there's Adama McKinnon, who has handled a lot of personal stuff for Ross and kind of helped put the team together. And she had called me and brought me on board. And then, of course, we brought on the investigator, Charles Middlestat, who's now Emmy Award-winning Charles Middlestat. You can watch him give a lot of the hot takes from the McIver trial that's going on right now. That was pretty much the legal team for the criminal defense side. He has a separate team for the civil side. Okay,
very good. No, those are all, particularly Steve Sadow, those are some particularly high-powered, big-shot lawyers in the Atlanta area. So he put together quite a team, and clearly you all were effective because the criminal case has been resolved in a manner that everyone could live with.
I believe so.
Okay, very good. Well, look, what kind of, I've never hung out with a hip hop mogul before. I've never had the opportunity to. Maybe I have. I just didn't know it. I hang out with Emmanuel Lewis every now and then. Webster, everybody. I hope to have him on the podcast before long as a guest, but he's kind of
met him at the '96 Olympics. He's a really great guy.
He is a great guy. As a matter of fact, I saw him 2 weeks ago, Jack, something like that.
About like that.
Yeah, a couple of weeks ago, and hung out with him, and then him and the wife actually went to have dinner together, and they spent hours and hours and hours over hash browns and eggs, which is kind of puzzling to me, but. There it is. So yeah, I've hung out with him. That's probably the only celebrity that I've ever known to the point where I could call him on the telephone. But tell us what kind of guy is Rick Ross? I mean, I would think everyone. I've seen him. I mean, he's a big guy. He's kind of an imposing looking dude. I mean, he's not a guy that I would want upset with me. What kind of guy was he in his personal life?
First of all, I'd be more curious because I think it would mirror a lot of people, especially around here. What would be your first impression?
I think he's a jackass. I mean, I'd look at him and say, this guy's probably that's not fair. I'd probably think that he's probably given his stature, given what I now know about him, he's probably he might come off that way, but he's probably just sort of withdrawn. Likes to perhaps not be recognized when he goes places. He might come off like a lot of celebrities do as arrogant and smug, but it's simply because they're tired of everywhere they go, they're attacked by, people fanning out on them, that kind of thing. So, I mean, he just looked to me like a guy that I would not want to bother with. I mean, because he looked like he might have a temper and he might, cause me some issues.
Well, both the guys, and let me just say this. First of all, Nadrian James passed away in December.
I forgot about that. I did hear that.
And he was really one of my main responsibilities in this case.
Sure.
And he was probably one of the more simple yet complicated people I'd ever met. You never really could tell what was on his mind.
Right.
And he was the backbone of a lot of what Ross's label, which is Maybach Music Group, does. He handled a lot of the travel and stuff, and he's going to be very sorely missed. But as far as Ross was concerned and is concerned, quite honestly, it amazed me. I've never met someone when you get into a conversation with him, and I think you've had this with other people where you feel like they're not really in it. He's always focused on the conversation you're having, and I always thought I was amazed with that. I thought he's extremely generous with his time. At the new house, which was the former Evander Holyfield estate, now I'd like to call the Ross estate. He'll allow us to go over there and hit softballs out there in the baseball field in the back. And when we go to leave, he's out there watering the bushes. And talked to my friends out there, took pictures, and just very generous.
So, it sounds like kind of a down-to-earth guy, actually.
Absolutely.
Somebody you could probably hang out with and have a beer, or perhaps some Luke Belaire champagne.
And he throws great parties.
Clearly. People don't want to leave, as a matter of fact, when they're over.
That's true.
Okay, and I assume you've been up to the mansion then. And let me just paint the picture for those of you that don't know. Rick Ross has a very, very big home out on 314, which is a highway that runs through the county we live in. And it's a funny backstory. There's already a very nice big home that's been on that property for 40 years. I grew up in the neighborhood across the street from that property, and I knew the granddaughter of the fellow that owned that home, and I'd been up there a few times. She lived in the neighborhood that I lived in. So when Evander Holyfield had that house built, I think Evander built that house.
He did.
Evander Holyfield, the boxer, everybody, he lived there previously. He built the house and then sort of, I guess, turned the old house into a guest home or a storage facility. I mean, I'm not quite sure what they did with that place.
It may be a rumor, but isn't that where they housed the boxers from the '96 Olympics? Didn't he loan that?
I think I did hear that. Yeah, I mean, there was plenty of room, obviously, down there to do that. But so the big house that Evander built is now the house that Rick Ross occupies, and you've been in that house.
Yes.
Tell us about that. I mean, what? I mean, the outside it looks like a castle. What's the inside of that place look like?
So amazingly, I haven't been through all the house.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
I would say I've been, if you're looking from the street, I've been from the left to about the center. The whole right side, never even been in there. But there's the mentioning of a bowling alley and stuff. That's all stuff that is in there, and that's how you get to from the left side.
So there's a bowling alley in that house. That rumor's true.
Basketball courts, you name it.
You're kidding.
Indoor pools.
That is amazing. I wonder how many square feet that place is. It's got to be.
It was. I knew it at one time. I would hate to guess, but I would say in the teens for thousands.
Yeah. I mean, from the street, it looks huge and rambling and goes on and on and on. All right, so you've been in the Rick Ross estate, and I think you mentioned earlier that he had sort of changed the decor of the place. He had turned it from whatever Evander Holyfield had it decorated to sort of Bel Air chic, or
he made it his, and so like the bowling alley last time I was there was done in Bel Air colors. He had a bunch of murals painted on the basketball court.
Now, what were the murals of?
Basketball players.
Well, of course.
LeBron James, Michael Jordan. He has a phenomenal artist. I forget his name, from New Jersey, came down and did those murals. They're really nicely done.
All right. Well, okay. That sounds interesting.
But the land, the land's like, what, 200 and something acres?
Oh, it's huge. Yeah, and there's ponds and lakes on the land. What do you got over there, Jack?
We have the square footage of the house.
Oh, my crack staff has figured it out.
At least the property.
Okay.
We're looking at 44,234 square feet.
That may be right.
44,234 square feet, everybody. That's
wow, I undershot it tremendously.
You were way under, man.
Well,
Clearly, you've not seen it all.
Actually, I said I just quoted the square footage I was in. That's
right.
That's what I was aiming.
That's just the part you were allowed to rumble around in.
And no one can prove me wrong on that.
Exactly. Who knows what goes on in the other 25,000 square feet?
That's right.
No telling, but you've seen the pools and the basketball courts and all of that
stuff.
stuff.
I think the pool is the largest residential pool in the state of Georgia.
That is crazy.
I think in the nation, actually.
Maybe.
And I guess he has a big shot movie stars and celebrity types come visit him occasionally. I would imagine
it's also up. I believe it's been used for TV locations and up for rent for movies and stuff like that.
Yeah. I noticed that sometimes there's events and tents all posted, not camping tents, but catering tents and that kind of thing, posted in the yard and those kinds of things. Okay, well that's very interesting. Now, was there ever an occasion where you and the whole legal team had to go up there and talk with Rick and conduct business up there at the house?
Oftentimes, we would do sometimes in Steve's office, or we would actually. We won't say where it is, but Ross actually owns 2 properties here in Fayetteville.
Sure.
So there's an additional house that we would go meet and all talk around a round table. And very active in his defense, as well as Black was. And they always had a legal pad, and they're jotting down notes. Now,
Jack, you a big Rick Ross fan?
No.
You listen to his music or anything like that?
Absolutely not.
But you wouldn't say that's indicative of people your age. Kids your age probably listen to Rick Ross, don't they?
I imagine so.
Is that sort of his age? Is that sort of the demographic that would listen to Rick Ross?
I would say. Mentally, I don't think I fit into that age group.
Yeah.
Physically, totally, but mentally. Mentally, I look at myself as 34, something like that.
That's probably undercutting yourself with your taste in music.
Did you watch Suicide Squad?
I did. I did not enjoy it.
Well, you listened to his music then.
Okay.
He's got his music gets put in a lot of movies. Hustlin', which was one of his big songs. That's been in numerous movies.
Okay. Well, yeah. I know he's a big shot. He's a mogul. Everybody.
He's an artist, and look, he knows what sells. What you hear in his music, he knows what sells. He's not an idiot, and so he'll make music that he knows people will buy.
Right. Well, that's
and that's
an art form in and of itself.
That's good. Yeah.
That's an art form in and of itself. All right. And now, does he have is there a recording studio in the house that you know of?
He does have one, I believe. I don't know if he's put one in the big house, but I know he has one in the other house.
Okay, well, see if maybe he'll let us come by and do a little something.
It is nice.
Studio.
It is,
yeah.
the studio is nice. First time I've ever been in a music studio with
Yeah,
down
well,
there talking.
hook us up, Sean. See if he'll let us come bring the podcast over there. And,
who
maybe
knows?
on the equipment, that he has, we can make something out of this. I don't know. Perhaps.
Maybe you're talking to the wrong person for that. Maybe I'll get you in touch with the right people.
Yeah, okay. Well, that sounds super interesting. I mean, we could go on talking about Rick Ross and his comings and goings for the next hour, but we got to sort of move on to something else. But I'm just trying to think if there's anything else interesting that I could ask you about Rick Ross that doesn't necessarily get into the facts of his case. Now, does he? Oh, here's one thing I want to. Let's talk about this rumor. Okay. I did want to bring this up, and I don't think this is out of bounds. There was a story that banged around that as part of his sort of the pretrial discussions and negotiations. I mean, it's no secret that he was at one point he was under arrest. He was in jail briefly. And part of his bond condition was that he had to wear some sort of ankle monitor or bracelet so they could sort of keep up, because he's an international guy, he's coming and going, and obviously the fear with the state was that he could. I mean, this guy has the means to go anywhere in the world, so they wanted some way to keep up with him, and he wore some device that would alert, I suppose, law enforcement or someone if he traveled outside the confines of wherever he was supposed to go.
Right. And
there's a story that, and I don't know if this is true or not. There's a story that he went up to Washington, D.C., this would have been back during the Barack Obama presidency, and was actually in the Rose Garden or somewhere at the White House listening to the president speak, and his monitor went off audibly. Is there any, had you heard that, or is there any truth to that, Sean?
Yes.
Oh.
And I was, so apparently, if I remember correctly, because it's been a while, but I believe there were a group were invited, and I think it was a lot of celebrities were invited, and it was like how to reach younger kids, try to keep them out of trouble and stuff like. And he was invited to go up there, and yes, he did have the monitor on him. My understanding is that it may have been a low battery or something like
right.
that. And when I read it, I was like, oh my gosh, he's going to be so upset when he gets back. And when I finally got to talk to him about it, he actually joked. He was amazing about it. I think he's just a really down to earth guy.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that I thought about it when I heard about it was, man, how mortifying would that be to be sitting at the White House listening?
Well, it's not like nobody knew.
Right. I get that, but still, even with everybody knowing, your monitor, your fugitive monitor goes off, while the president of the United States is addressing you, or is even present, in the room or on the, outside with you.
And I just want to say, and tell me, because you've handled, all kinds of cases. I think it's a testament of how the case was handled here for him to be able to do stuff like that. I mean, more and more Fayette County is getting inundated with cases that are going to have to deal with people in movies, people
sure.
on TV. And I thought the way it was handled, with him being able to travel and continue, letting him prove to the court that he's trustworthy to do
right.
that. I thought that was amazing.
It was, and I think subsequent to that, wasn't there y'all went back to court and was able to get a that condition modified or something?
We started with house arrest, showed that we could handle that, and then we needed to work. So then the judge let us do that. And then, every time he would need to travel, there'd be something filed with the court. Don McKinnon was always on top of it.
Right.
They'd give him, his ability to do it. And, he'd go, come back, never a problem.
Well, that's interesting, man. So would you count him? Would you count Rick Ross? Is Rick Ross a cat that you could pick up the phone and call and just say, hey, what's up, man?
I don't. I do text him, he'll. Let me tell you something. It was during one of the hearings. My wife ended up having to go to the hospital. It wasn't anything serious, but we ended up cutting one of the hearings short. And he did text me and wish everything best for her. And in the middle of everything, he did, and that meant a lot to us.
That's awesome. That's amazing, and that's really cool. Well, look, you talked to Rick Ross. Tell him the Grandaddy Studios are always available to him. That chair he's always welcome to come in and do a few minutes with us if he'd like. I'd love to have him.
That's got to be a location. That's got to be when I listened to the last podcast, and you were talking about the level of interesting you need to be for remote locations.
Yeah.
And I would think that might qualify.
We would be happy to travel to him.
Okay.
If I could get 10 minutes in the can with with Rick Ross, that would I would go to him.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just want to
Let's just
clarify.
go ahead and clarify that, and you can let him know that. All right, man. Very cool. That's good stuff. Well, let's move on to a couple other things. You know, that was the sine die the other day, which notes the end of the Georgia 2018 legislative session, and something that sort of wacky, I think, not wacky, I think kind of disturbing came out of the whole legislative session. There was probably more than this, but this is what caught my eye. Now, let me just think about this for a minute. In Georgia, it is illegal to let's think of a list of things that it's illegal to do while driving. Let me think about this now. While you're operating a motor vehicle in Georgia, it's illegal to eat a cheeseburger. No, it's not. All right, it's illegal to put on make. No, that wouldn't be it. While you're operating a motor vehicle in Georgia, you cannot read War and Peace. No, yes, you can. You can do that. It's not illegal. Oh, I know what it is. You can't hold a cell phone.
Absolutely.
That passed.
That passed?
House Bill, what, 678, something like that?
673, I believe.
673. You got it right there?
Yes.
Take a look at that and see what it is.
673.
House Bill 673, at its core, the essence, it makes it now illegal to even have a cell phone in your hand while operating a motor vehicle. Is that the gist of it?
Or even on your shoulder.
Yeah, you cannot. It has to be completely hands-free. So you have to be talking on a Bluetooth or some other wireless hands-free device. You cannot have your phone in your hand. So, I mean, you might as well just leave it. I guess you just have to leave it on the seat and don't touch it while you're driving.
Are you really surprised? This is the law in like 15 other states.
I'm not surprised, but what I'm not. No, I'm sure. Are you kidding? Nothing that they do down there surprises me. But what sort of pisses me off about it is it's just layers upon layers upon layers of laws. There's already a distracted driving statute in Georgia. You can't drive while distracted. And being distracted while driving is largely a subjective concept. I joke, but if you're trying to double clutch a cheeseburger while you're driving down the road and you have an accident, and that can be proven, you're driving while distracted. If you're trying to put on makeup or something like that and you have an accident and it can be proven, then you're guilty of distracted driving. Why add this additional layer of bureaucracy on top? It's just another way to, in my view, generate revenue for the state. I mean, but here's the larger.
And it will. And
no, of course it will.
A ton.
Oh, absolutely it will, because no one's going to comply with this. No one's going to comply with it. But here's the bigger thing. How do you enforce this? I mean, when they went to the no texting, I mean, we've had that now for several, I don't know, 2 or 3 years. You can't text and drive.
I don't think there was a lot of teeth to that legislation.
There wasn't a lot of teeth to it, and it was difficult to enforce. I mean, if you see someone with their phone in their hand, they could simply say, "Well, no, I'm using my navigator. I'm doing 1,000 other things." This sort of takes all that off, and I suppose this is in response to the sort of non-enforceability of the previous law about texting.
Well, everything right now is kind of geared toward, was there a study for this? Was there a study for that? So insurance agencies, I'm sure, have a lot of studies out, and probably nobody's really done a study about putting on makeup and driving. But obviously they've done studies about texting and using your phone while driving. And, we have some of the highest insurance premiums in Georgia, because in the United States, because of that. Everybody's hoping maybe this helps bring those down. But I mean, they put some teeth in this legislation.
Right. Well, I haven't reviewed it, stem to stern. Well, what are if you've looked at it, what are the penalties? Do you know for?
So first off, I believe your first offense, it's a $300 to $500 fine. But they've added, appears to be a component similar to the super speeder. So there can be a further administrative fine that can be levied against you. And if you don't pay that off within 90 days, they will suspend your license. Subsequent ones, you have to take a driver's ed course, safety driving course, and the fines can go up. I mean, it's considered a misdemeanor. Now they've had points assessed to it. I believe the first one is 3 points, second one's 4 points. After that, I mean, they're putting a lot of, and they even added it to the vehicular homicide.
Oh, so if you're texting or you have your phone in your hand and you hit and kill somebody, it's now felony. Well, that's interesting. Well, Jack, let me ask you right quick.
Sir,
you're a new driver. You don't have your driver's license yet, but you have a permit. You drive.
uh
You're sort of, texting and driving. That's such a that's so taboo now as far as what teenagers are learning. I mean, that probably wouldn't occur to you to do anyway, would it?
No.
When you start driving, I doubt you're going to fool around with your phone.
Oh, no.
And it's simply not because I'm telling you not to, it's just because...
not because he's sitting right here asking you the question.
Well, I mean, I will say, Jack gets on to me constantly about it. I mean, I'm the world's worst. I mean, I drive, text, and Facebook and every damn thing else.
And I was far worse until I had my son.
Yeah.
And then my wife, something like I mentioned, she said, put your phone down.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, and then you kind of get in the habit. But I was really bad.
Yeah, I'm trying to do better with him because I'm trying to set an example for him, and he's always on me about doing it. So I've tried to put it down, not fool with it. I mean, but I was that way about seatbelts until he came along. I didn't wear a seatbelt.
Well, I compared this case, the first texting, the first text driving statute that came out. Do you not see it similar to the first seatbelt that came out? Because, for seatbelts, a truck, you didn't have to have it. At the
Right.
And then all of a sudden they start adding teeth to it. And that just reminded me of that. I was thinking about seatbelts when I first read this.
Yeah, it is a good correlation. Yeah, to that. All right. Well, yeah, I just thought that was, that's one of the things that came out of the legislative session this year that I thought was, maybe a little bit dramatic. But I mean, now that we've talked it out, maybe it's a good thing. But
maybe
I doubt it.
We'll see insurance premiums go down. That'd be nice.
Well, that would be nice. I mean, libertarians are screaming and hollering about it all over Facebook and everywhere else. But hell, I don't know. Yay for the nanny state.
Well, they had to do something. Everybody's up in arms about something, so they took action on something to get everybody off their back.
I will say that I'm proud of a person that we both know who used to be a Superior Court judge here, but now is a state legislator. He voted no. That'd be Johnny Caldwell.
No, why? Well, I mean, if you were sitting up there right now, would you vote yay or nay?
No, I'd vote no.
And why?
Because I think it's duplicitous. We have a texting and driving law already on the books. I mean, if you want to amend the texting law to make it more enforceable or give it teeth. Do something. Make an amendment, but don't create a new law.
But just in theory, of the whole what the law's out to govern. What's your opinion?
I don't know. I've not seen stats on accidents involving people who are involved in accidents while texting. I don't know what those numbers look like. And maybe if I saw those numbers, and I might change my opinion about it. I mean, I don't have enough empirical data to make some sort of determination as to whether or not it was necessary or warranted. But okay, I'll acquiesce to the fact that if there was an inordinate amount of property damage and loss to life and injury as a result of texting and driving, or just manipulating a telephone while you're driving, yeah, I might acquiesce to. I might vote yes for it.
I never thought I'd be pro any statute really, but I mean, I see the logic, and I mean, obviously, it's inherently more dangerous to drive your car while texting,
right?
And of course, now you can't even hold your phone to see navigation. You can have navigation on your phone, you just can't hold it in your hand.
Yeah, but I can't make a phone call, and I mean, I can't dial it with my fingers like
Actually, there's something in the statute. You can't operate your phone. You can't do anything on your phone that's more than one maneuver. So you can swipe. Or press the button. And it literally, I believe, said swipe in the...
okay, well, see, that begs... I mean, we're going to get in the weeds here, but that begs the question of enforceability. I mean, who's to say if you stop me and got my phone... Well, I only made one move, officer. I swiped and put it down.
It's going to be one of those officers side by side with you at a red light.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where most of them are going to come from.
Yeah, and what the hell's going on here? And
I don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, I'm getting there. Well, yeah, that's true. But it also is another, dare I say... another sort of arrow in the quiver of probable cause to stop somebody.
We'll see search warrants coming out on vehicular homicides, dumping phones, and
right.
I mean, we'll see all kinds of things coming through.
Okay, well, yeah, that's interesting.
You also see a lot of too fast for conditions.
Indeed, yes, you do. Yeah, I mean, we could go
just
on
to avoid those. Those administrative fines.
Oh yeah,
I hope.
Well, yeah, exactly. Oh yeah, you might. Yeah, that's true. That's right. That may be a nice negotiation point for other things. So, all right. Well, look, what else, man? The only other big story that everybody else has moved on. I can't move on from it. I can't forget about it. Is this guy? I think he was in Arizona. It was a week or two ago. Maybe not even 10 days. This guy. His name was Mike Mad Dog Hughes. He built a rocket and launched himself. He was trying to launch himself into space so he could prove once and for all that the Earth was flat. Have you seen this?
You had mentioned something to me about it, and I couldn't find it, and I kept hoping it was not real.
Oh, it was real, I've seen the video footage of the launch. But this guy,
I'm assuming not much footage of the landing.
no footage of the landing except him being put in an ambulance. That was the available footage of the landing. He hit hard, I think.
Did he come to any conclusions?
Unfortunately, I think his mission failed. He did not get the altitude that he needed to verify the curvature of the Earth, which he probably even if he did, he probably would have said it was some sort of optical illusion brought on by hypoxia or some other natural phenomenon. But certainly it couldn't be anything other than the Earth is round.
And we verified gravity still here.
Gravity still exists, apparently. I think he made it 22, 23 miles, which is impressive.
That's actually very impressive.
That's impressive. I mean, he got a good and I may be overestimating that. Maybe that was feet. I don't know, but I think it was miles. He got a good distance up in a homemade rocket launched in someone's backyard. So when you juxtapose that against the millions and millions and billions of dollars that NASA spends and SpaceX spends to send up a rocket with the most advanced technology and smartest people on the planet working on it, and sometimes they fail. I mean, they had one blow up a couple years ago.
But at least they believed the Earth was round when they did it.
Exactly. It wasn't to prove the Earth was flat. But my point is, this guy, for having no money and I don't know what kind of budget he had, enough to build a rocket, he did pretty good, actually.
What fuel did he use?
You know what? I don't know. I don't know what he
I'm
used.
just curious.
Perhaps he just
3 miles is actually amazing.
Yeah, perhaps he just packed a bunch of dynamite under himself and lit a fuse and wham, away he went.
That's a YouTube video right there.
Exactly. Oh, it's a great video, but I wish there was a video of the landing because he hit hard. I don't think he broke his back, but he hurt himself to where he had to be put on a gurney, loaded in an ambulance, and driven away.
Now, did he foresee the landing? Like, is there some sort of parachute that came out? Or?
I'm assuming that there was some sort of. It was supposed. Do you know, Jack? Did you see
I
him?
have no idea. I've not heard about this.
Yeah, it's hilarious. So, as a matter of fact, on we here at Things My Granddaddy Said, we obtained footage of the launch, and we posted it the other day. So check that out. You'll see the.
Now, if he believes the Earth's flat, does he at least believe it rotates on an axis?
I don't have any idea what these people believe, other than they believe the Earth is flat. I've seen some crazy theory about why the oceans don't spill off the edge. I mean, I can't remember what they said. It's just insane. But the fact that this guy would risk his life in a homemade rocket to go up and take pictures, I guess they don't believe that the hundreds of satellites that we have orbiting the Earth right now, constantly taking photographs of around Earth, are. I guess they think that's all a NASA hoax.
Well, there's your problem. You said orbiting.
Yeah,
Orbiting. That's right.
Yeah,
exactly.
They don't orbit. They just kind of I don't know. They kind of
hover.
Yeah,
I think that would make the moon flat as well. Is that?
No. Flat earthers, at least to my understanding, flat earthers believe that everything else in the universe is round except the Earth. Mars is round. Venus is round. That's all round.
Right.
Except Earth. Earth is the only exception.
And why do you think that is? Because they can look up at the night sky and see that they're round? I mean,
I don't know. I honestly. Honest to God, I have no idea what the motive behind.
Well, look, if you're a flat earther, why don't you do this? Just shoot us an email. Shoot us an email. What's our new email address, Jack? I forgot to mention that. We got a new email address.
Oh yes, our new email address is tmgspodcast@gmail.com. Thanks, my granddaddy said podcast@gmail.com.
Yeah, just abbreviate it. That's right. It's
tmgspodcast@gmail.com.
And would you please send me anything you get? Because I really
absolutely. tmgspodcast@gmail.com, everybody.
Please note that your message will not be private.
Yeah, it will not be private. If you send something to that website, believe if it's interesting, I'm going to share it with our vast audience. But yeah, if you're a flat earther, send us something and give us sort of don't send me some 200-page dissertation on why you believe the Earth is flat. Just send me something very succinct, couple paragraphs. Tell me what the theory is with the flat Earth people. I'm curious to know, so I can send you back and tell you that you're a lunatic and probably need to seek professional help.
Please be friendly with your inquiries.
Yeah.
We don't need new ruckus.
You get a lot of unfriendly inquiries.
Not really. I don't think we've gotten any inquiries.
No, we've got no inquiries yet here on the podcast. Yeah,
I mean, it's better than it's better than a bunch of bad inquiries, I guess.
Yeah, so at least we've got nothing, nothing.
We got nothing going against us. We have nothing going for us, but at least
no fan mail, and no court orders, nothing like that yet. No defamation lawsuits, nothing like that coming our
Now
way.
that you mentioned it, the Joyner Law Firm's also on Facebook, so if everybody wants to go like that, that'd be great.
There you go. Go to Sean Joyner's Facebook page, the Joyner Law Firm, and like his Facebook page, everybody. And if you need a lawyer, call Sean. He's a local attorney here on the south side of Atlanta. He'll be happy to help you. I assume, though, you'll travel, Sean, if the price is right.
Well, we go all over. We've handled cases North Georgia, South Georgia. I'm not. Steve Sadal goes from state to state.
Right.
But I do go from all over the state. Done some murders down in like Lamar County and possessions up in White County. So yeah, we'll travel all over.
I got you. All right, well, listen, man, it has really been interesting. I appreciate you coming in today and talking with us.
Thanks for having. I mean, actually, I thought this was cool when you brought it up to me.
Listen, we're trying to get interesting folks in here, and you definitely are an interesting guy and have got some pretty cool experiences. So, anytime you want to come back and talk with us, you're always welcome.
I appreciate it, man.
Appreciate it, man. Thanks very much. All right, Sean Joyner, everybody. Hope you've enjoyed that. Listen, if you have show ideas, I say this every week, if you have ideas for a show, things you want us to talk about, people you want us to talk to, or if you want to be a guest, just drop us a line.
TMGS Podcast.
TMG. I'm going to write that down. TMGS Podcast at gmail.com. TMGS Podcast at gmail.com. Or you can find us on Facebook. We have Things My Granddaddy Said Facebook page. This will be available. We drop every Tuesday. So look for us on Tuesdays and look for previews for next week's show. I'll have something out soon about who our guest next week's going to be. I'm already sort of working on that. So join us next Tuesday, and we'll have a whole new show and a whole new and a different guest. And again,
also find us on our YouTube channel.
That's right. We have the YouTube channel, everybody. Things My Granddaddy Said. Look it up on YouTube. You can see video. That's really going to be the home of the video portion of these. We're going to post those to YouTube and put the link on Facebook and other places. And that YouTube link will also have the Buzzsprout link to the audio podcast. So there'll be a lot of different ways to find us. We're available on iTunes also. That's the primary way people are listening to us. When the episodes drop on Tuesday, they drop on iTunes immediately, so you'll be able to get it that way. So at any rate, we'll be back with you next Tuesday. Appreciate everybody listening. Continue to listen. Let us know what you think about the show, and we will see you all back here next Tuesday. Thanks very much.